to protect our body. But in addition to that, bones are an organ and produce things much like our other organs produce vital things for our body. Bones are not just sticks or armor for movement and protection. Bones produce our red blood cells. And I want you to think of people who have challenges with their red blood cells. Perhaps they're anemic or something like that. Have you ever known of someone who has anemic or had problems with their blood work where the medical practitioner told them that we need to work on their blood by working on their bone health metabolism? Well, it only makes sense that if our blood is produced in our bones, then we should work on the bones to help the blood, but we've never had a technology that can help bone health metabolism until now. And so, no, medical practitioners don't say we need to work on our bones to help out our blood. Not only are our red blood cells produced there, but also our white blood cells. Now, think of all the things that white blood cells do impacting our immune system. And there are many conditions where people are worried about their immune system. Have you ever known a medical practitioner to say we need to work on our bones in order to help our immune system? No, I haven't heard much of that. And another thing that happens in our bones, I want to think about something that we've heard a lot about over the past decade is a lot of research going into stem cells. Now, our stem cells, if you will, are our body's internal fountain of youth. They are allowed to be directed or morphed to become other cells in the body. Our stem cells can become heart tissue or brain tissue or liver tissue. They are our body's internal fountain of youth. All of these, if you will, produced in our bones. I wonder if having a healthy bone metabolism could be important. Now, I want to back up. I had a gentleman that was actually down out of Florida who, when he learned about the Bone Health Pack and Dr. Nadeem Naidu's research, which we'll talk about, he actually had a rare genetic, he was told, blood disorder that there was nothing medical science could do about except for give some medications that made him lethargic, made him very tired, and might prolong his life a little bit, but he was still told he would have a 10 to 15-year decrease in normal life expectancy. Well, he learned about this Bone Health Pack, got on it, and all of his blood work became normal over the course of just a very short period of a few months. And I now have had multiple people who've gotten on this product who have found that their blood work has returned to normal simply by helping their bone metabolism. Now, this next picture is really important. Understand that your bones are actually a bank. Now, we have banks that we use for many things. We have banks that we use for making deposits. We deposit our money in banks, and later on, if the bank is still in business, we will make a withdrawal from these banks. Well, our bones are actually a bank for many important trace minerals. Calcium is a predominant thing that's stored there, phosphorus, etc. Well, I want to use a little analogy here. Let's say there's a Frenchman that wants to do business in America. Well, the Frenchman can't spend his money in America. Maybe we used to call it francs, now we call them euros, but that money is not recognized in this metabolism known as the US of A. So first, the Frenchman must transport himself over, possibly in a taxi cab, to his local bank and make a deposit. Now, later on, he can go to that bank and make a withdrawal, this time with that money having been metabolized and now released with new metabolic markers so it can be recognized in this economy, the US of A, as US dollars. So the money was converted from one form, deposited, withdrawn, and converted into a new form. Well, calcium, the same thing happens. In order for calcium to be utilized in our body, the calcium must first be converted, metabolized, deposited, stored, and metabolized, and then released into our body. Well, released for what? Your body will utilize 50 to 100 milligrams of bone calcium every single day just to feed your brain. It turns out that every nerve impulse requires metabolized bone calcium in order for those nerve functions to the synapses to send their signals. So your brain and your nerve function is very dependent upon bone metabolism. Your heart is extremely dependent upon bone metabolism. We've had people who've gotten on this bone health pack who had atrial fibrillation, who after being on the bone health pack, anywhere from 2 to 6 months, have found that the muscle contraction of the heart and the nerve impulses seem to have aligned up and no more atrial fibrillation. Now that's kind of a neat side effect, if you will, from getting on this bone health pack. It also turns out that our kidneys, our liver, also require bone calcium. Our whole digestive tract, 600 to 800 milligrams of bone calcium required every single day, not dietary calcium, but bone calcium, calcium released from the bones in order to make these systems work. So our muscles, every contraction of every muscle requires bone calcium and other minerals. So again, we're beginning to see here that bones play a major, major role in the functioning of many parts of our body. So the next thing we'll discuss is that you actually get new bones, a new set of bones, multiple times throughout your lifetime. Now, someone doesn't come in at night and cut you open and take out your old bones and put new bones in. If you will, there's a constant remodeling process. Now, some of you have had remodeling projects in your home where perhaps you removed a wall from one place and put it up into another to change the structure or the layout of your home. Well, it turns out that the same thing happens in our bones on a regular basis. You actually get old walls that are removed, old bone removed, and new bone that is replenished or put in its place on an ongoing basis. So much so that in the average lifetime, you're going to get 10 new sets of bones, 10 complete new sets of structural walls in your body. 5 of those sets of bones, if you will, are used up, are metabolized, are built and torn down before the age of 20. So if you get 5 sets before the age of 20, that's 4 years that it takes for the bones to be able to replace themselves. So 5 sets, a new set every 4 years up to the age of 20. Now, that's a challenge. If you only have 10 sets of bone and 5 of them are used by the age of 20, that means you only have 5 sets remaining for the next 50, 60, 70 years. Well, why does this take so much longer after the age of 20 to replace? Well, we're going to talk about the concept of taxi cabs. The Frenchman, in order to get his money to the bank, had to get a taxi cab to transport himself to the bone bank. And then calcium needs to be taxi cabbed into the bank and out of the bank. Well, if there aren't as many taxis after a while, then the process slows. And what would it be like if we could actually go from 80% of the taxis being gone to getting all of the taxi cabs back? So let's look at this process of how bones are remodeled. The first picture, the top picture, you see this pink character. I call him Pac-Man. Many of you played the video game Pac-Man, where he goes through and munch, eats away at all those little bits. Well, here we have something called osteoclast. I call him Pac-Man, who excavates and eats away at the old bone. But he doesn't just eat. He eats and he distributes. Pac-Man eats and distributes bone to a myriad of different entities throughout the body. So this is how the body actually distributes calcium to the brain, calcium to the heart, calcium to the liver, calcium to the kidneys, all of those types of things. And there's actually an article I have here in front of me. It was a study that was done by Professor Gerard Carcenti of the University of Columbia. And one of the things that they found that is released in this process is a substance called osteocalcin. And osteocalcin, studied in rats, they found that if you have enough osteocalcin, they found rats that were having challenges with blood sugar issues. Their pancreases weren't producing enough insulin. Maybe they was prone to obesity and so forth. Well, if you can imagine, when they gave these rats enough osteocalcin, the pancreases actually started producing enough insulin. And the cells became more insulin receptive instead of insulin resistant. Wow. If we actually released sufficient amounts of osteocalcine from our bones, what good could that do for our pancreases and conditions that are caused from challenges with insulin and pancreas challenges? I've actually had multiple, not all, but multiple diabetics who have gotten on this product and had dramatic changes in their numbers. And so I'd encourage you, if you know people in that category who are looking for a wonderful side benefit, this product is a wonderful option for them to explore. The third picture on here is construction. We've done the demolition, and now we're into construction. I call this character, this second leading actor in our play here, I call him Surfer Dude. He glides along the smooth surface of the bone, and then he finds a divot. Whoa! And when he finds that divot, he calls all of his buddies around and says, "Hey guys, come on over, let's build some new bone." And that's how we get excavation of old bone and rebuilding of new bone. And up to the age of 20, this happens at a natural, normal level. But after the age of 20, it begins to slow dramatically. So here we have a chart, if you will, a kind of a layout of the situation that we're in. We have 12 million Americans with osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, here's normal bone, and as we begin to get thinning of the bone, we have osteopenia, and then when it's really bad, it's osteoporosis. Well, we have, second on this chart, 40 million Americans with thinning bone. They're at fracture risk, and severely thinned bone is osteoporosis. Well, over the last couple of years, they're trying to get rid of the designation of osteopenia and osteoporosis and just call it by one disease, because some people were thinking, well, I'm not real severe, so I'm not going to worry about it. And they're having too many people having fractures who weren't understanding that their condition was truly severe enough as osteopenia. So then there's another 66 million Americans that have joint-related issues, arthritic challenges. That's 118 million. That's over a third of our population in North America. Now, if there was a condition that a third of Americans had, and if there was a clinically proven, totally safe technology getting as much as double-digit bone density increases and transforming arthritic challenges, do you think there would be a market for this product? Huge. If Merck or Pfizer came to you and told you that in your region you could have exclusive rights for distribution of this technology, would that spell opportunity with a capital O? Well, the answer to that is yes. We've got people who are literally screaming from the rooftops just because they know people need help with this. Now, it's not just our aging population that are in need of this. Understand that this is a huge preventative technology that can also help with well-being. I mean, who's worried about bones? We've got mothers who are, their systems get depleted all the time. Athletes who have tremendous amounts of stress and strain on their bone and using up resources in their body. We have people who are on medications who are in trouble. We have a lot of people aren't aware of this, but our youth, our teenagers, their bone density is 25% less than one generation before. Well, why is that? Well, it turns out that we have poor diets, we have poor exercise for our youth, we have a lack of sunshine because they're spending all their time indoors, and they're becoming much more acidic. Acidic due to stress, acidic due to diet, acidic due even to the things they drink. So I want to take this issue of pH and talk about it for a minute. It turns out that the blood's supposed to be at 7.365 pH. 7 is neutral, 7.365 is just slightly alkaline. If you could drop below 7, you're becoming acidic. So if it goes from 7.365 down to 7.3, you're sick, 7.2, you're hospitalized, 7.1, you're dead. It's a very narrow level of tolerance for pH change in the blood. So what does the body do is we go to drink a nice tall glass of phosphoric acid. Now, of course, none of you watching this presentation would ever be guilty of drinking a nice tall glass of phosphoric acid, otherwise known as soda pop. I wish they would just label it properly, and maybe we'd have a little more common sense when we go to drink some of this stuff. But we go to drink it, and then 10 minutes later it hits the system and the blood alert goes off. Acid attack, help! What do? Well, the body has a unique buffering system. It will immediately go and grab calcium and phosphorus and other things from the bones, but calcium, the most plentiful alkaline mineral in the body, and take those things and those calcium and phosphorus bonds and release them into the blood, and it will buffer what is happening to, instead of the pH dropping, it will bring it back up to that 7.365 and balance things out. If we don't do that, you begin to see what's happening in this chart here. This is just a slice of bone. On the left, we have natural bone. In the middle, it's beginning to get thinner, as in osteopenia. On the right, osteoporosis. Well, we've actually had teenage kids on the football field getting hit, breaking a bone, and they go in and they're told they're not going to play again, that they will not be playing again because they have osteoporosis in teenage years. It used to be that we thought it was an old person's disease, but what I'm seeing as I go out and talk to people, I've seen 80-year-olds with the bones of 18-year-olds and 18-year-olds with the bones of 80-year-olds. What is it that's happening here? So let's move forward here. This picture, on the top left-hand side, you will note that we have in this picture pardon me, I had a couple papers fall, but I want you to be able to see. They're disappearing. So in the top left, tall erect skeleton. In this next picture, someone lost 13 centimeters. Folks, that's a lot of height loss. And where does this height loss take place? Notice these vertebrae here are all gone in this last picture. The rib cages collapsed and landed completely on the skeleton. So there's height loss. We actually have something they call compression fractures, where the vertebrae literally disintegrate. The nerves are pinched or impinged. All of the intestines, all of the things in this space that used to be here don't have the space to function. So not only do they not have good nerve signals coming to them and not able to send nerve signals back up to the brain properly, but there's simply not as much room to function. So many digestive issues and decreased organ functions, a whole heck of a lot of discomfort that can come with this. And folks, when you've reached these stages, is this a fair time to go to your doctor and say, help me? I want to talk about this. Do you want to wait until you've lost? I had a gal come up to me in Monterey Bay. She said, help. She was in her 40s, and she'd lost over 10 inches of height. Osteoporosis might not be happening in its 60s or 65s. It can happen a whole heck of a lot earlier than that. In her case, it did. And we can't give people back their full amount of height, but I've had people who've actually, with the Bone Health Pack, regained multiple inches of height back. So yes, we can help in those areas, but I'm going to encourage you not to wait till you've lost 10 inches, because I don't think we're going to grow 10 inches back. Not to wait till after you've broken the hip or the pelvis or that lumbar spine. Why not prevent the problem to begin with? We are told, I'm going to have to get out of here in order to get that off the screen. I apologize. Just a moment here. Boom. There we go. All right, back to screen share. Sorry about that. Benjamin Franklin said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I would submit to you it's more like a ton of cure when it comes to bone health. And think of the economic implications of being able to take care of these problems without having to have the medications. Men, you are at risk for bone health issues. In fact, in some ways more risk because of the abuses that you have on your bones. Some people think they're going to solve their bone problems by taking a calcium supplement. Folks, I want to talk about these calcium wars that you have seen over the past 40 years. First, they came out with a bottle of calcium. And I want you to think, how many people know someone who's taken calcium supplements? It's one of the most prevalent supplements out there. But it's, in many cases, a huge marketing scam. And what do I mean by that? We're told, first, take calcium. And 5 years later, we're told, no, calcium doesn't work by itself. You need calcium with magnesium. And 5 years later, they said, no, you need calcium with magnesium and phosphorus. And 5 years later, they say, no, you've got the ratios wrong. You have to change the ratios of calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. And then they say, no, you're taking the wrong type of calcium. You need calcium citrate instead of calcium carbonate. And then 5 years later, no, you need calcium, microcrystalline calcium or coral calcium. And then later on, we say, no, you need calcium with boron. And then later they say, no, the formulation's wrong. You need calcium with vitamin D. And 5 years later, they say, no, it's not vitamin D. No, you need calcium with vitamin D3. People saying, oh, you need to drink milk. Milk does the body good. Milk builds strong bones. Well, folks, we consume more dairy than any other nation in the world, and yet we lead the world in degenerative bone disease. Understand that we're not solving the problem with fortified foods or with excess calcium. In fact, some reports saying that the calcium is becoming harmful in people's systems, creating kidney stones, creating hardening of the arteries, and challenges even with raising blood pressure. So what is the solution? Even recent research saying that the calcium with vitamin D is not solving the problem. Well, we have now something unique happening in the pharmaceutical world, people trying to solve the problem with bisphosphonates, Fosamax, Boniva, Actonel, Reclast, Forteo, all of those drugs. Consumer Reports is no longer just talking about your cars and your automobiles and your cameras and your TVs. Consumer Reports is now saying, look, guys, wake up. The risks of some of these drugs outweighs the benefits. We actually have people whose bones are becoming more likely to break by taking some of these bisphosphonate drugs. So here's an example of some of the side effects from the most popular bisphosphonates. Jaw decay. Now I'm going to read you a quick article. This comes from written by Alan Badley of the Kansas City Star. And just a couple summaries of some of the things in this article. He talks about a lady named Geneva Grimpo, and the doctors had put, I mean, doctors doing their best. They have these pharmaceutical reps coming in and say, hey, try this drug, it should help you out. So the doctors aren't necessarily to blame here. They're trying to help the best they can. But this lady comes in with fragile bone, but she has bones sticking out. She can even pick out chunks of bone with her finger, and they put in plates, and then the plates, the bone around that rots out. So they put her on drugs to be able to help with the bones. And the article went on to talk about how the drugs are causing a second stage problem, that it's actually the drugs are rotting out the teeth, they're rotting out the jawbone, and even having the roof of people's mouths cave in. And they interviewed Brett Ferguson of the, let's see, he's the chairman for oral surgery at the University of Kansas, Missouri, Kansas City of Schools of Medicine and Dentistry. And he says, quote, it's a nightmare for the dentists. You think it's a nightmare for the dentists, what about the patients? He says, I've had an explosion of patients with this jaw decay issue. Well, it's called osteonecrosis, and it's not just happening in the jaws. Some people it's happening in their shoulders, some people it's happening in their hips. But bones actually rotting away because of the medication. Disabling pain is the second one on here. Difficulty swallowing, heartburn. Well, it's okay if you have heartburn because we can give you a drug for that, right? Well, it turns out that there's ongoing inflammation in the esophagus that's leading to esophageal cancer. The heartburn drug isn't fixing it all. So you can look up piles and piles. I've got here a binder that has listings of lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit taking place with these medications. Altered taste, numbness, mental irritability. That's okay. We've got drugs now that can make you happy. Chest pain. We've got more drugs for that. Seizures. Oh, we can give you more drugs for that. Anemia. It's okay if you take this drug because we've got more drugs to fix your anemia. I mean, it's just one drug often leading to another. Well, instead of getting on this pharmaceutical treadmill, wouldn't it be neat to find a solution that isn't causing people's teeth to rot away or their jaws to rot away, that isn't causing their skin to have all these problems? But I don't know about you, but I would suggest that any drug that has these types of side effects might not be a good drug for your bones. I'm going to transition here for a moment to arthritis drugs. They put my mother on prednisone, and she was scared to death of this stuff because of all the swelling that takes place and all of the challenges with the liver. And there's a whole list of side effects that come with these drugs. But folks, again, how many of you know people that would like to solve their bone or joint health issues in a way that didn't have potential of causing this huge myriad of other challenges? The good news about our bone health pack is that with the bone health pack, hooray, there are no known side effects. In all the clinical studies, it didn't show any challenges. Now, I will tell you that in the years that I've done this, I have had 5 people that appeared to have some sort of reaction. And the good news is, it wasn't a permanent reaction. It wasn't anything that was bad like that. In fact, if they slowed down, instead of taking the recommended dosage, if they just, instead of taking it daily, if they took it every 3 days, the extra stiffness that they got to begin with, it's called a detoxification. We just slowed that process, and they were able to ease into it. And of course, there may be people out there who have an allergy or something like that. But I'm sure we'll find them somewhere, but unless you have an allergy to one of the ingredients, you're going to be fine with this stuff. And by the way, one of the ingredients is called lactoferrin. Know that the word lacto, if you have milk allergies, I've yet to have someone with a milk allergy who had any problem with this, because this doesn't contain any of the milk sugars. It is a specific protein that is just causing amazing benefits. This technology comes to us from a company called Nikken. Nikken is a short Americanized name for a Japanese company called Nihon Kenko Zaoshin Kenkyukai. They pioneered a concept of total health and wellness that encompasses no one Band-Aid or one drug or solution like that. It's all natural technologies to help you have the best energy, the best, you may be aware that Eastern medicine deals in energies. Qi, you may be familiar with energies in meridians or acupuncture, acupressure. So they deal with energy technologies. They deal in air. Who here would like clean air? Who here would like the best alkaline water on the planet? Who here would like to have the best sleep ever? In fact, you want to know the best doctor, the best solution for health, go get the absolute best technology for sleep. It's a technology pioneered by Nikken, and you will transform huge issues for health. And we don't have time to go into all of Nikken's technologies. I will tell you, if you've been invited to watch this presentation, you need to talk to the wellness consultant who invited you and ask them, what is a wellness home? How can it benefit me and my family? And you will be blown away. With that having been said, we have massive amounts of clinical proof on our technologies, and tonight's presentation has no lack of clinical data, so we'll talk about that. So when it comes to your bone health, let's put some common sense into this thing. Here are some of the things that doctors will tell us are good for our bone and joint health. First off, we need physical activity. We got to move, folks. Get off the couch and go walking. Walking is one of the best things you can do for your bones and joints. Medications. Here's one of the challenges, folks. The medications you take are acidic. 99% of all medications are acidic. And some people tell me, oh, I'm really healthy. I don't take any soda pop or anything like that. But they're popping 5, 10, 15 pharmaceuticals per day. Every one of those pharmaceuticals is acidic, and it's like downing a nice tall glass of phosphoric acid or soda pop. Well, some of those medications are really bad for the bones. Heart medications, asthma medications, cancer medications. Terrible, terrible, terrible on bones. Weight issues. Can you be too heavy? Yes. Creates incredible amounts of stress in our joints. And then people say, well, I'm really too heavy and there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm going to get a surgery. And they get one of these lap bands or something, only to find out 5 years later that now through malabsorption, they can't get nutrients in well. Some of them becoming bariatric patients. I had one gal, she was being supplemented 5,000 milligrams a day by her doctor and still not absorbing. We got her on the bone health pack and it all came back to normal, which is awesome. But if you could find a way to not be too heavy or not get one of those lap bands may be good. Too skinny. Can we be too skinny? Yes. They think that sometimes we're too skinny through not getting enough nutrients and not having enough weight-bearing activity, and that lack of weight-bearing activity not being able to build new bone. Acidic lifestyles. We can have acidic lifestyles by eating processed food. Nobody here buys stuff in the center of their grocery store, I hope. Nobody listening to this would buy things that are processed in a bag or in a can that have all of the preservatives, acidic, all of the white flour, acidic, white sugar, acidic, excess red meat, acidic. Well, acidic lifestyles, stress, a boss you don't like, a job you don't like, working hours that you don't like, being in traffic you don't like. Stress adds up. Not making enough money to make ends meet. Stress. Well, acidic lifestyles lead to a degradation of bones. Soy, bad for the bones. Age, bad for the bones. Well, these are some things that our doctors would tell us are bad for our bones, but I'm here to tell you they're not the reason for all the challenges. I had a gal. She ran marathons, was a cheerleader in high school. She never touched medication. She thought her mother died from being over-medicated. Weight issues, no. Acidic lifestyles, no. She cooked from scratch for her 8 children. No soy. And at age 35, still young, had 5 fractures. Well, if these things aren't causing the problem, what is? Well, we'll get to that. Let me give some good tips, some good common sense things for your overall health and especially for your bone and joint health. Watch your weight. Get well hydrated. And the best hydration technology in the world actually comes from a Niken technology called Mag water. Good posture, good for your bones. Exercise, rest, rejuvenation, huge for your bones. Nutrition. If you want the best technology in these areas, ask your Niken wellness consultant about some really good common sense things. The sleep system is on the left-hand side there. Magnetic far infrared and negative ion technology embedded in there, and it is the best night's sleep you will ever get. I literally sleep 2 to 4 hours less per day, have more energy, and got rid of 2 major autoimmune conditions because of that technology. The water on the right-hand side. Hydration, essential for joint health, and I do mean essential. You see wraps there. There's far infrared technology embedded in that knee wrap. We have wraps for the elbows, the knees, the shoulders, etc. And we have clinically proven technologies in the bottom center and bottom right joint and the CM complex, which major studies for range of motion, people had problems going up and down stairs, published in the Journal of Rheumatology. That lotion you see right there, I have people begging for us to sell it in mass quantities so they can fill their bathtub with it, folks. That CM cream is phenomenal. Now, the heart of our bone health technology is this bone pack. The item on the left, for lack of better words, I'm going to call a taxi cab to get things through your gut, to get calcium through your digestive system into the bloodstream. The one in the middle, for lack of better terms, I'm going to call a taxi cab for your bones. We got to get it out of the bloodstream and into the bones, and then after you had excavation of excess calcium in your bones, old calcium, we need to get it out of the bones and then to the brain, to the heart, to the liver, all that type of stuff. Osteodents is the taxi cab that has been missing. At age 20, you have typically enough, but by the age of 60, there's usually less than 20% remaining. And then Caldents is what is being taxi cabbed around. This gentleman right here is the world-renowned medical microbiologist who 30-plus years worth of research, folks, has brought us this technology. Now, lactoferrin itself is some 40 years old in research. Dr. Naidu made major roads in toxic shock syndrome. He's the guy that solved the E. coli problem in the U.S. beef industry in the 1980s. In fact, his lactoferrin component is used to this day when you order beef. If it's shipped, if it is in your grocery store, it has been sprayed with a lactoferrin that he created, or that he created the means to isolate it. It's a natural molecule, but it created the means to isolate it and deliver it, and is a natural means of getting rid of bad bacteria. He's on faculty in Europe, Asia, the U.S. He's a medical microbiologist. He's been nominated for many prestigious awards, in fact, knighted by the Queen of England. Holds multiple patents, consults pharmaceutical and medical enterprises worldwide. This is not some dude with a chem lab in his garage. This is a world-renowned medical microbiologist. The technology is patented, natural. I use this, folks. One of the reasons I use it, I grew up on a farm, lots of chemicals. And this is actually a natural chelation for the bones. I mean, it's a really amazing technology. It's known as a sinoportant technology. The synovial area is the sac around the joints. The synovial fluid encapsulated in that, and it was originally developed to be able to feed that area, which then feeds the joints and the bones. We've actually seen some major transformations for people with the structure and integrity of joint cartilage. This area right here, if you know people that are bone on bone, I've got people who could not bend down and get up again. They would have to crawl over to a chair or a handrail to pull themselves back up or have somebody else pick them up. Could not go up and down stairs. But roughly 12 to 14 months of use of this technology, the Bone Health Pack, and they're getting up and down again without hurting. The technology is without animal byproducts or without gelatin. It's all natural. And we actually have a formulation of this Bone Health Pack. I shouldn't say we have a formulation. There is a formulation of this Bone Health Pack created by Dr. Naren Naidu. This is amazing research now, where they've got it formulated specifically to be delivered for dogs. And the veterinarians are going wild over this, because not only is it helping them with osteoporosis, osteopenia, etc. for dogs, but it's helping with broken bones. The Bone Health Pack, I've actually had kids who've broken bones, not healed after a month, not healed after 2 months, given rods, surgeries with rods and pins, still not healing, and then we get them on the Bone Health Pack, and poof, they heal more in 1 month than most kids would in 2. Well, they found the exact same things for animals. They have a maintenance dose, and listen carefully to this, because we have a maintenance dose for people, and then we have a therapeutic dose. So there's a maintenance formula for dogs and a clinical formula. So when would they get the clinical formula? When they have the clinical dosage is when they have the broken bone, when they have major cartilage issues, when they have osteoporotic challenges. And after they're out of that challenge, in order to keep them from falling back into that degraded state, they get on a maintenance formula to keep their metabolism up so they don't fall back into those challenges. Well, it's the same with people. One of the beauties of this animal formula was that they were able to do studies on these animals they can't do with people. Now, they're humane studies, but one of the challenges with people, it's hard to tell them what to do. And with the dogs, they could actually control what they ate. So they all got the exact same diet. And they could control their movement. Hard to control people sometimes. And controlling and minimizing their movement and giving the exact same diet, the animals had over a 30% increase in the rate of healing of their bones. Some of them even more. Well, now back to the Bone Health Pack for people. The very first study on this technology, in fact, if you're watching your small screen, I'll show that clinical study right here. That study showed some really amazing stuff. They divided up a group of postmenopausal women who had bone health issues. Half of them just got calcium, and half of them got calcium plus our taxi cabs. And what it did is they showed that this technology slowed how fast the bones were being eaten away. Really cool. Slowed down how fast the bones were being eaten away, but dramatically, and I do mean dramatically, increased the presence of the cells that were producing new bone. For osteoporotic people, the pharmaceuticals don't do anything in this category. The pharmaceuticals eat away and they stop the cells that are eating away the old brittle bone. And so what that means is you can no longer have cells releasing calcium for the brain, the heart, the liver, the kidneys, all that type of stuff. What our technology does is actually increases the cells, surfer-dude, osteoblasts, that are producing new bone. How many of you would like to have new bone instead of having a technology, a pharmaceutical, that stops you from eating away old bone. It sounds good to have something keeping you from eating away old bone, but in a year, you're going to have more old, brittle bone. And after 2 years, you have even more older and more brittle bone because the cells are not getting rid of the old bone. It's a natural process to get rid of the old bone and build new. Well, what we do is slightly slow how fast you're getting rid of old bone and dramatically increase the presence of the cells that are building new bone walls. Awesome. So this study in Osteoporosis International, this is what turned my head. This study, clinically proven, showed that we were increasing what was going on with bone formation, and it was restoring the balance of bone turnover, the balance of osteoblasts and osteoclast activity, Pac-Man and Surfer Dude, restoring that balance within a period of 6 months. Now, if after 6 months you're building a bone at a new rate, that means in 4.5 years you could get a whole new set of bones and joints. How many of you know people that would like a whole new set of bones and joints after 4.5 years? That is huge. It also talked about cellular differentiation. This was stimulating stem cells to do their thing and go where they needed to go. The next study on this bone health pack dealt with inflammation markers. The blue category, they can measure things in your blood that fight inflammation. The red category is they measure things that cause inflammation. How many diseases out there, by the way, are linked with inflammation? Virtually all of them. So what happened in the study is that this bone health pack actually dramatically elevated the things that fight inflammation and significantly decreased the things that are causing the inflammation. So not only is it actually getting at the root of the issue instead of just masking it. And our technology has patents. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. I mean, they continue to come in. We have 8 years worth of exclusive distribution of this technology, pardon me, 18 years. So you're not going to find this technology at your local Walmart. You're not going to find it at your Walgreens. You're not going to find it at any other nutrition store on the planet. This is the only place you're going to find this is from your local weekend wellness consultants. I want to give a quick history of lactoferrin. The word lacto means milk. Discovered in milk, breast milk, particularly colostrum, huge concentrations. And they thought that this technology, thus the name lactoferrin, was for transportation of iron. They found that not only was it helping the body absorb iron, but if your body had too much iron, it would shut it off. It was a regulatory molecule, a smart molecule, a molecule to help bring balance to systems in the body. Then they found it wasn't just dealing with iron, it was helping with many trace minerals. Then they found out there were 29 distinct and different forms of lactoferrin, 29 different iterations or cousin molecules that seem to correlate with different organ systems. A lactoferrin for the brain, a lactoferrin for the heart, a lactoferrin for the bones, and what Naidu was able to do, Dr. Naidu was able to isolate these different forms, and thus we have a specific form that will help with specific bone health. These lactoferrin molecules are key for intercellular communication. For instance, if there's no lactoferrin on the head of a sperm, the sperm don't know where to go. We've even seen huge transformations for fertility issues. In fact, while we're on that, if you know a couple, even couples who've spent tens of thousands of dollars for fertility challenge. I know a couple that spent over $40,000. And we just 2 of these a day for the guy and 4 for the gal, and poof, we see amazing things taking place. It's also key as a transport mechanism. Lactoferrin is a major antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, antiparasitic. In fact, let me show you a couple of these studies. Here is, let's see, boom, boom, boom. Here's a recent study, lactoferrin, get this, for acne. Lactoferrin for acne. Here's one talking immune systems and cancer. Here's one about lactoferrin and candida. Here's a study about lactoferrin and inflammation. Here's a study about lactoferrin and salmonella and its antibiotic properties. Here's a study about antimicrobial features of lactoferrin. Here's a study about Lactoferrin, and colitis. I mean, we have people with Crohn's and all sorts of crazy things having huge benefits with this technology. It's now required in Japan and China in baby formula. Eliminates and neutralizes toxic compounds, free radicals, maintain regularity. I mean, it's just a huge product. You can even take this and open up the capsules, mix it with pie water, and put it topically on a wound and have it help to fight infections and so forth. Just a really amazing benefits with this technology. Here's a picture of mouse bone and just 13 days use of the technology. Notice all of the extensive benefit for the structure of the bone, let alone what was happening with the bone marrow and the huge activity. The green down here represents new bone being formulated. That's just 13 days, folks. Really huge benefits. This is a chart that says you can use this technology. You can try taking calcium and vitamin D or glucosamine and chondroitin or isoflavones or drugs or hormones and get sparse benefits, or you can take the Bone Health Pack, which has huge benefits all over. Folks, this Bone Health Pack is huge. I've seen people having huge dental changes. Myself. Lactoferrin is now known to help fight the bad bacteria for dental health. And I had huge changes with gum challenges, gingivitis stuff. And oral health is huge for strokes and heart health and so forth. We've seen people have changes with fertility issues, even male impotence with this. We've had people having changes with brain health, even kids having changes in learning, short-term learning. I had a young guy that had problems with reading. Couldn't read at the first grade level, even in the 4th grade. Special Sylvan learning methods, all this stuff. Got on the Bone Health Pack. He went from all C's, D's, and F's to all A's and B's within a 6-month period after starting on the Bone Health Pack, the whole conglomerate. So the original cost of this, folks, $173, which is a deal. This was a major deal. I mean, some of these medications are $400, $500. I met a gal, she was spending thousands per month on her bone health issues. We have 6 patents on this. It's clinically proven, and there's even FDA approval with the technology. It's received what they call GRAS status with the FDA, which means generally regarded as safe. The good news is that now the cost is not $173. We have millions and millions and millions of the doses of this stuff sold, and it is safe. It's now just $103.50. And if you get it on auto ship, which is a no-brainer because you can cancel your auto ship anytime, you can get it for $77. And folks, for all the benefits this gives, this is huge. And as a registered customer, you can get a money-back satisfaction guarantee with every 30-day cycle. So this is a powerful no-brainer for using this. Now, some of you who are watching this presentation may go, you know what? I know boatloads of people that need to utilize this. I know family members. I know the lady across the street. I know the guy down the road with arthritis, whatever it is. If you like helping people, you may want to consider sharing this with other people actively. Now, you can't just tell them to go talk to the person who invited you to this presentation, but you may say, you know what, I'd like to be a wellness consultant too. And this video will be available online, and you can go ahead and just share it out with people. But before I transfer away from into how you can share this with other people, I do want you to know that there are some specific things, dosage, you should know. The Bone Health Pack comes, as you see listed, with these 3 items. There are 30 of the Osteodents, you take 1 a day. There are 30 of the Lactoferrin, you take 1 a day. And in the Caldents, oh, I apologize, that is let me fix that right now. You actually take 2 a day in the current formulation of Caldents. Now, with that in mind, you are going to, that's a maintenance dose. But if you're falling off the cliff of bone health and you're just like, I really want to get my joints feeling good now, I've got osteopenia, something like that, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add to that an extra Osteodents. And all the studies with this product were conducted with people taking 2 of the Osteodents a day. So order an extra box, so you have the Bone Health Pack plus 1 more box, you can take 2 a day. If you have osteoporosis, you want to make sure that you get 3 a day until you're up into osteopenia. Then you could go down to 2 a day, and then if you're out of osteopenia back to normal bone health, you can go down to the maintenance dose after that of just the bone health pack. So with that in mind, who do you know that could benefit from this technology? Folks, we have people looking and begging for this technology, and the only people that are going to be able to tell them might be you. Lawsuits are wiping out the pharmaceutical competition. Society right now looking for ways to augment their financial situation. Huge tax deductions with home-based businesses. This is just a quick chart to show you how this works. Here's you. Let's say you knew 5 people that wanted to get on the Bone Health Pack. You knew people that wanted to be customers. In addition, you might know some other people who were looking to generate some extra income. Let's say you knew 3 people who said, man, I'm tired of my part-time job. I'd like something I'd like to do from home, or I need a money tree. Maybe they're looking for something full-time, whatever it is. Well, to get involved with NECAN, to get your license to distribute this technology, is $99. Get the product yourself so you can show and demonstrate it. That's $77. And all of that includes a free web page. For under $200, folks, you can start a business that can extend globally. Because you can, once you reach the first rung up the compensation plan, you have rights to distribute this in South America and many places in Europe. Well, here's the plan. Become what they call quality enrolled. And quality enrolled means that you do it at least 500 points worth of customer volume. Now that'll be $625 worth of sales, which would generate over $125 worth of take-home pay for you. Okay? How many of you would like an extra $125? Well, lots of people would. Now, go out and help 3 other people become quality enrolled themselves. Help them find customers, and you would earn over $150 yourself by going out and doing that. Now, then help them duplicate. Help them duplicate and help them go out and find some folks. And wow, now you're earning over $550 a month yourself. Not only is your product free, but you've got enough to, well, maybe have an extra car payment, or maybe help with a vacation or something like that. Well, one more month, go out and help those people share with other people. We call it Teach 3 to Reach 3. Teach 3 to Reach 3. Really simple thing. And you could be earning over $1,000 a month. You reach the silver level, and poof, you're out there impacting a boatload of lives. And that's just with this one product, let alone if people learn about our water technologies and our sleep technologies and all the other things that NECAN has to offer. So I don't want to belabor this, but you could do a little with this, or you could do a lot. And NECAN has a very generous opportunity for people to become as unequal as they would like. The liberty to improve themselves at any rate they want. I have a brother-in-law that he's been in trouble, and he went out trying to find a traditional job, and he took a short-term gig with UPS, and he drove through the snow. He worked crazy long hours, 14-hour days, lifting hard, heavy packages, all that type of stuff. And he was told by his bosses, he was told by all of them, that he performed better than everybody, and that UPS was looking to hire, and they had to hire somebody outside. So there were 3 part-time workers, and he rated best on them, and he was told that he should get the job. Well, it turned out that the company, in order to satisfy some quotas, had to hire, sometimes they have to hire people that of different ethnicity or of a different gender. And that's what turned out to happen. Even though he was the best qualified and performed best and did the best work for the company hired someone else. And so he's still without a job, unable to support his 4 kids. Well, the cool thing with NECAN is it doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter about glass ceilings, and if there's other bosses above you, you can progress as fast as you want. And so if you like helping people and want to become free, take a really good look at what NECAN offers in the Freedom Factor. So I'm just going to move through here, and we're going to open this up for questions and open up for an opportunity for some of you who've used this product to share your experience with the bone health technology. I want you to share your experience with the bone health technology. Now, let me see if I can unmute here for just a moment. I apologize. When I unmute, I believe it's going to unmute everybody. You're going to have to mute your own lines if you have background noise. So look at the bottom left-hand side of your screen right now, if you would. And if you've got a dog barking in the background, if you could mute yourself, that would be fantastic. Again, if you've got a dog barking in the background, if you could mute yourself, excellent. Who here has had an experience with this technology that wouldn't mind sharing? Anybody?
Brody, it's Madeline.
I don't know.
Madeline, I see your hand. Would you go ahead and share?
Yeah, I for my grandchild.
Listen, please, carefully. If you are not Madeline Zaworski, if you would look in the bottom left-hand side of your screen to see if you can unmute yourself, that'd be fabulous.
She'll do one at my house.
I can hand mute some of you. Madeline, go ahead, and if you'd speak up really well, that'd be great.
A little bit
there. A lot of pets in my air. Yeah. So, yeah.
So just start talking.
There you go. I got one for me for my shoulder. I'm like,
Madeline, go ahead.
Okay.
But it was great stuff. And you see, when I was taking care of my mother-in-law.
Somebody needs to be unmuted. I'll be 70 years old in August. I've been using the Osteo since it came out. I did have a partial right knee replacement. It'll be 3 years this March, and a total left hip 2 years ago. However, my bone density has improved. I have my grafts from age 66 to 69, where there was an improvement of my osteopenia. And my new x-rays showing my opposite joints, which I've really been walking more, and I've upped my osteodense from 1 to 3 a day. So it's been since my joint replacements. First I did 2 a day, and probably about the last 2 years, 3 a day. So to be 25 years post-total hysterectomy, take 0 medications. Now I've used every product but the pet joint and the men's formula since they came out, so I am definitely a wellness home user, but I'm sure it was increasing the bone health. I also take 3 joint a day and the omega DHA, which is also good for bone health as well. So it's absolutely an excellent product. I believe strongly that everything is interrelated. Our digestive tract, the ability to absorb with the other nutritionals, sleeping in the sleep system, having the far infrared, drinking lots of the water, and that's coming from 50 years and a master's degree in nursing. And I really want to applaud you. Your presentation is absolutely excellent. Excellent, Brody.
Madeline, thank you very much, and thank you for sharing. Now, anybody else who wants to share, go ahead and unmute. And while you're doing that, here's a bone scan. You'll notice that the green area is good. The yellow is osteopenia. The lower pink area, if you will, is osteoporosis. And here's someone who went, you see the blue mark down below, they went all the way up to a healthy bone, and this was under a year's period of time. Now, that's not normal, but that is what is possible. Some people can have some really amazing. I had a gal, she was 86 years old. She had a 28% increase in bone density in just 6 months as measured by DEXA scans. Now, some people are just going to go 5% or 3% or 10%, but it's amazing what we can do, especially considering at that age they say that no change can take place. Who else would like to share their experience with the Bone Health Pack? Linda, I see your hand.
Yes. I'm what used to be the kind of person who believed in doctors and medications, and I believed that they knew what they were talking about. It wasn't until I met Linda Bennett, who is here today, that I had missed 3 months of work in the school system because of back pain due to osteoporosis. 3 months I had to leave my job, and I was on codeine and in dire pain. I called Linda up because we had spoken in the school, and I said, I need help. I started on the bone health pack, and after I've been on it now for 7 years, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis. I had the back of an 80-year-old at 50. I'm now 63. And I will tell you that I am free of pain. My bone health, when they did the bone scan, there was improvement. I told my doctor I was on Fosamax for 5 years, got esophageal ulcers, heartburn, really bad stuff. So without asking my doctor, I went to Linda, I threw the Actonel, the Fosamax, threw it in the garbage, went to my doctor and said, hey, I've been on this for 6 years. I'm not going on it anymore. And he says, okay, I'm with you, I'm on board. And I said, good, because I've been doing this for a year. A year later, I went to my doctor. I was feeling so wonderful. Honestly, I told him I don't have osteoporosis anymore. They did a bone scan. I still have it. But I am functioning. I'm retired. I'm enjoying my retirement. But I'm absolutely pain-free. But my numbers on my bone scan says, boy, you know, you're improving slowly, but you're not getting worse. I will not ever miss a pill. I'm afraid not to take the Lactoferrin, the Osteo and the Kale. It is not a scam. I mean, I believe in this stuff, and it works.
Excellent.
Brody?
Linda, thank you for sharing that. A couple things, folks, to be aware of. If you're on soy, get off. If you have thyroid issues, make sure that you talk to your doctor about getting that regulated, because that's one of the biggest enemies we have with getting results with this product. If you have any type of inflammatory bowel or absorption issue, do everything you can to help with that, and Nikan has some amazing products to help in those categories. But those are our biggest enemies in helping people get good, wonderful results. Everybody's metabolism is different. We're all going to have different speeds. But, Linda, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not a miracle. This stuff works. It's not a miracle. It is what they say it is. And I've done lots of reading. Linda's given me tons and tons of paperwork and where this all came from. And I'll tell you what, I'm sold on it 100%.
Excellent. So real quick, folks, I'm going to put my email up on the screen. I'm going to ask you, if you know of anybody that's had a result with this product, I'm going to create a new, it'll be 1.5 weeks from now, but I'm going to create a testimonial CD with people's stories that you can all use to be able to hand out. But if any of you have people that have had results with this product, please email me the name, email, and phone number of the person that's had results, and I will let you all know when that recording will be. You're all welcome to participate, and we'll make it so that these folks can share, and we'll make a great recording of this. Who else has had, that's online tonight, has had results that they would like to share?
I'd like to introduce Eunice Daniels from Pennsylvania. She's had pretty profound results. And while she's unmuting, Eunice, could you please unmute and share yours? I'd like to share that my orthopedic surgeon, he did my joints and my dad's 4, said that there's a lot to be said about the scam with bone scans. He said he's compared being in there and doing the joint replacements to bone scan results, and really he questions the validity. So that's from someone who's in his 70s now and was #5 top joint replacement surgeon in the state of Ohio for many years.
Excellent. So maybe explain this to you guys, folks. If a bone scanner shows you have more bone tissue, that doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy bone tissue. It can be the old, nasty, squishy, brittle bone material because of the medications killing the cells that eat away the old bone. And so that's kind of what he's talking about there. Just because your bone scan is improving when you're on Fosamax doesn't mean you're getting good bone. So thank you for that clarification, Madeline. And Eunice, take it away.
Yeah. I have to ask you, when you say take 3 osteodents a day, is that 3 at the same time or spread it out?
Excellent question. So what I love about the coloring of these products, I don't know if you can see me on the screen right now, but this guy is orange. It reminds you of the sunset, so you take it in the, pardon me, it reminds you of the sunrise, so you take it in the morning, okay? Take your Lactoferrin in the morning. These other two products, the Caldense and the Osteodense, are dark, signifying evening time. The latter half of the day is when you should take these. And the reason for that is calcium, if you are on a thyroid medication, calcium can bind with that and make them inert, the functioning of them. And so it's best to take this afternoon, and calcium's better absorbed in the latter half of the day. If you are taking multiple of these items, you will get a little bit more benefit, maybe 5 to 10% more benefit by spreading them out, okay? But if you're prone to forgetting or giving up because you have to take them through multiple times during the day, don't worry about it. If you get to the end of the day and you forgot to take one at lunch and one at dinner or whatever, just pop them all down before you go to bed. It's better to take them than to get stressed and freaked out about it, okay? So latter half of the day, and yes, you can take them at once. If you can spread them out, great. Does that answer your question, Eunice?
Yes.
Excellent.
But Madeline, yeah, she's texting me like crazy. Will you please share?
Go for it.
How old was I was like 49, I think, and I had a bone density test, and immediately the doctor called me. He said, whatever you do, don't fall. You have severe osteoporosis. It was negative, I think it was like negative 4.8. And he started on his speech about what he was going to come up with, you know, what I was going to have to take. And I said, absolutely not. Our company just came out with this. I mean, we only had it maybe a month or two, and that's when I got the phone call. And I've been taking the Unique ever since, and I've gone in and had other bone density tests taken. And I'm inching my way out, slowly but surely. I'm inching my way out. So, yeah, it's taken me longer to absorb for some reason. And I have been taking 2 Osteodents a day, but I'm going to up it. And I haven't had a bone density test for several years, and I keep saying, I need to go back. So I'm kind of anxious to see what my results are.
Well, folks, understand that many times people on the drugs don't get improvement. They will just stabilize according to the tests. So the mere fact that you're having any improvement is great. Another thing to be aware of as you put people on this product, remember that bone metabolism isn't about density necessarily. Bones are a bank. And if there are other areas of the body that are in trouble, we found as we monitored bone density, we actually have people that when they get on this product, roughly 20%, their bone density will lower for the first 6 months to a year because their bones are going, oh my gosh, I've got to feed the brain, I've got to feed the heart, I've got to feed the liver, I've got to feed the kidneys. Whatever is in biggest crisis, the body's going to fix first. And people get worried, oh, the product's not working. No, the product's working really good because the taxis are delivering things where it needs to be the most. But every one of those, after a year, they balanced out, they leveled out, and then started on this upswing. So don't give up. Okay? Madeline, it looks like you're trying to talk, and you're muted, Madeline.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt before, but I've been working with Eunice for 16 years. She has a multiple of autoimmune allergic reactions. Her clinical improvement, her blood microscopy, everything, the back pain, her hair, her skin, everything is clinically better, absolutely better. And so there's no question, like what you mentioned in the blood making, the fact to make blood in the bone marrow. There's no question at all. There was an internist present when her microscopy was done, and it was the worst looking microscopy that a guy from Canada ever saw. She actually has a CD of that, a DVD of that. And when she went to have blood tests done, and he thought she should go straight to the hospital, her blood tests were all normal, but the nutritional microscopy tests were not. And so there is absolutely no question, and Eunice is now going to be 65, so she mentioned age 49. And that's her beautiful daughter to the right of her on my screen, Christine Fuller. And so this is the age at 32 that Christine needs to start on this if she isn't already, and she could very well be. So what we have is so much preventative and improving the